Welcome. We are here with Ashlee Newberry, a registered nurse, a German new practitioner, a certified yoga teacher, and a certified PSYCH-K facilitator. Ashlee, you're also the founder of Alchemy with Ashlee. Tell us about yourself and what drew you into German new medicine.
Thank you for having me on, Christina. I am obsessed with German new medicine. I've been studying this for about 8 years. Started my company, Alchemy with Ashlee, in May of 2020. And yes, I retired from nursing about 5 years ago. I say retired because it's more fun than saying quit. And I was studying German new medicine when I was working as a nurse. And I kept seeing patients that were just staying sick, coming in for the same issues over and over and not getting better, and not really in a place to want to get better. And I was learning this other modality, German new medicine, which is all about the root cause of physical and behavioral or mental symptoms. And it's not about how you're eating necessarily or exactly what you're doing in your life. It's about how you deal with shocking and unexpected events and how the body steps in to help you deal with those shocking and unexpected events. And my own personal history, I struggled with acne for over 13 years, tried basically everything under the sun to try to help my skin repair and heal, diets, supplements. I was on birth control for a while. I was on antibiotics and other medications, tried lots of expensive skincare, and nothing seemed to help because I wasn't getting to that biological root cause, which was a feeling attacked or feeling soiled conflict. And so until I got to that root cause, these things outside of myself were not really helping that much. And in healing my own skin and continuing to see the symptoms play out in my own life and see, okay, this happened, I was caught off guard. And then when I resolved it, then I saw these symptoms and I just kept seeing it happen over and over and over in my own life. I was like, okay, I want to do something about this. I want to help other people. And I started my business and didn't really know what I was doing at the beginning, to be honest. I've never been an entrepreneur before starting my coaching business. So there's a lot to learn, still always is. And I focused on skin healing with my clients initially, because that's what I really love teaching and what I felt most comfortable with. But now I help my clients with all kinds of issues, from digestive issues to menstrual cramps and other menstrual symptoms, to cancer, allergies, and everything in between. So it's quite an amazing map of the body and what things are causing us to adapt and have these symptoms. So
it is interesting because it's such a different approach. You talk with most practitioners and they're thinking, what drug can I use, or what medication, what supplement, exercise, food, all these different approaches. And you're approaching it in a very different way, which is what really drew me to New German medicine, that a lot of it is stemming from how we perceived information coming into us. And I like that, because I think that there are so many different aspects and so many different areas that we're missing because of those things. So what are 3 of the aspects of German new medicine that everyone should know?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot more than 3. Sure. But I think the biggest one is letting go of the fear of germs and not allowing that fear to control your life, because we need bacteria, we need microbes, and especially in the healing phase, which is when we have symptoms, which is why microbes get blamed for, sore throats, stuffy nose, whatever other symptoms, because they're there during the healing. So it's almost like blaming the fire truck for the house fire. When we blame the microbes for the symptoms, they're there at the time of the symptoms to help with the healing. And so our world has become so hyper focused on eradicating the microbes, and actually we desperately need them. And so that I think that would be like the main thing. And I guess the second thing would be to, like, once you really learn this information, when you have symptoms, you don't need to rush to the doctor or your naturopath or whoever. It's like you understand that, okay, the symptom, while it may not be comfortable, it may be painful, or depending on what it is, like recognizing and understanding that, oh, this is a sign that my body's healing, everything is actually okay, there's no need to panic, has changed my life and everyone that I support with my coaching business, because we, again, are programmed to be in fear of symptoms and also in fear of germs. So those, I guess, are like the two biggest things to focus on, because that translates to every single biological program and every symptom that you may have in your lifetime. And third thing I would say is taking personal responsibility. So we are quick in our society to, blame the food, the drug, the other person, the environment, the blah, 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 whatever it is. And German New Medicine is taking that personal responsibility to the next level, because not only are you responsible for, the way that your life is, how you show up, your relationships, but actually for your health and your symptoms, because you are the first cause, nothing outside, you and your perception. And it's not saying that, oh, there's going to be a day where, oh, I'm just never triggered and, everything is great all the time, because that's not reality. But understanding that you have control over your perception, and you can actually shift situations that you're going through in the moment, or, maybe a little bit after if it's challenging in the moment. And you can remind yourself that, okay, everything's okay. I'm not actually dying, because that's what the body thinks, is when we have these shocking, unexpected events, the body's like, oh, this organism is dying, let me help. And so it's understandable that when we have these symptoms and we have these fears, that the body is constantly adapting to help us, when a lot of these fears are not actually rooted in truth. It's rooted in our programming and how we were raised, or the media, or, probably all of the above. So yeah, letting go of the fear of germs, letting go of the fear of symptoms, and taking personal responsibility.
Those are really good aspects. And I really like that you brought those up, because I think that, especially after the past few years, the fear of germs is something that is so prolific now in our society. We really have to move past this and understand what is a virus. It's not what people think. It's not this understanding that the media makes it out to be. It's a very different organism, and it's not alive. It's, it's like an exosome. It's information. It's a packet of information. So we have to understand that we as humans, we're receiving that information, and our symptoms, are not, I hear a lot of people talking about symptoms being a detox also, that it's runny nose, you're trying to flush it out, you're trying to get rid of it. What does German New Medicine have to say on that part?
Yeah, there's not really such a thing as like needing to detox. So okay, I'll go with the example of a runny nose. So that is the healing of what's called a stink conflict. So when something stinks, like something existentially stinks, like, oh, that sucks, that stinks, or something actually smells bad. So the body is responding on this biological level, even to these figurative, shocking things in our lives, or things that, don't really make sense. in terms of, okay, how is my body, you know, responding to opening my sinus passageways, going to help me with, you know, that I have to stay late at work and that stinks. That sucks. And so the body is always responding on this ancient biological level. So like, let's say the body is on like operating system 2 and our brains are on like operating system like 1,000 or 10,000. And so we are constantly responding in this biological way to these non-biological problems. And so that's where the disconnect is, that German New Medicine is that bridge to understanding like, oh, so when this is happening, this is what's going on in my body, and there's nothing wrong. I don't need to detox or change something. It's like, you know, when you're tired, go to sleep. When you need to pee, go to the bathroom. And yes, I'm simplifying it. Not every program is that simple. And sometimes the symptoms can be intense and painful and uncomfortable. And when you have that understanding that everything is happening for a reason and that nothing is actually wrong, it helps you get through the healing more easily and quickly because you're not resisting it and making yourself wrong or your body wrong for what's showing up. There's always a lesson to be learned from whatever symptom. And this, bringing it back to that personal responsibility and self-awareness, you come back and you see like, oh, I didn't know I was triggered by this event. Thank you, body, for telling me that I was. And so the symptoms of like a runny nose is the healing of a stink conflict. So almost all symptoms, not every, but almost all of the symptoms happen in the healing phase. So it's after you've relaxed about a situation, or you know, you go on vacation and then you know, quote, get sick. But it's because you relaxed and you've let go of, you know, your day-to-day life, and your body's like, okay, we can go into healing now. And then you have, you know, let's say runny nose, diarrhea, sore throat, whatever the symptoms are. And it depends on your perception, right? So you and I could experience the same situation and have vastly different symptoms, or one of us could have no symptoms at all because it wasn't shocking. And so it's so individualistic, which is why when we go to Western medicine, it's not one thing fits all, because we are individuals. Our perceptions, beliefs, personal history are so specific that how you interpret one thing and how I interpret it is vastly different. And so to treat everything the same, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, and I like your explanation of the biological response, because I think that it makes a lot of sense that our biological process is behind our mental process, and it makes sense as to why it doesn't seem to always mesh. Like what we're thinking doesn't always seem to mesh in what we're feeling physically. Like you were saying, we go on vacation and also we get the runny nose. It's like the worst time when we would want a runny nose or want to be sick. So that is very interesting, and that is something I just keep learning more with the German New Medicine. So I really like that is how you explain that, and that's part of the process. It is very interesting. So are there a couple of German New Medicine practices our viewers can use at home to incorporate into their daily lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. So German New Medicine in itself is more of a map than, than a modality specifically. And so in terms of practices, I think the biggest thing that anyone can do, and that I work on for myself and with my clients, is trying to stay in that calm state. And if something happens that brings you out of it, how quickly can you recover? So whether that's journaling, doing some breathing or breath work, meditating, going on a walk, like talking through things, like having a way that works for you to process your stuff instead of ruminating on it in your head and obsessing about it, oh, did I say something wrong in a conversation? or, with your spouse or something, like, did I do something wrong? Or, like just being in this kind of like fear mentality. But having either someone or a process or multiple processes to work through that stuff constantly is so helpful, because otherwise it can build up. And if we don't have a way to process what's happening in our daily lives, then or if we do have a way to process it, but we're not being truthful to ourselves, then that's also what can cause a conflict, is because we're not aligned within ourselves. So also during this process, which is why I quit nursing, because I was fighting myself every day, because I'm like, if I talk about this, I will get fired. If I try to give an ounce of personal power back to my patients, like, I'm going to be gone. And so it's right, taking back your power, and then having some type of daily practice or multiple to just help you calm the fuck down. Because we're so tightly wound and we're like, in fear, that really affects your body and can contribute to not only like this level of stress, but if you have a low threshold to deal with stuff, you're going to more likely have a conflict that's going to happen, because it happens in a moment. It's not that like stress builds and then causes these illnesses or symptoms. But when we are stressed and we don't have a way to manage it, or we're living very unaligned lives with our relationships, our jobs, maybe even where we live, our daily activities, routines, when we're so unaligned, we are primed to have these biological conflicts, more so than if we have these things in place to help ourselves and be in alignment. Because, right, like I was saying, it's not like once you learn this, you're never going to have anything happen. Like, that's not reality, because we're human. Right. But when you have these skills, I would say, to work through them, it helps a lot more, because you work through it faster. So any symptoms that you may have, you get through it a lot quicker. And it's like a slight cough instead of full-blown pneumonia, because you have these tools to work through it, so it doesn't become this huge health crisis where, you need to seek help because you can't work through it on your own. So you save money too. You save money, time, energy, because you're not running to the doctor or running to your naturopath for every single thing, because you're like, oh, thank you, body. I just need to rest, or, I just need to do whatever I need to do to take care of myself. So
I like that tip, because I do think that we really do need to process more. And when we go through the day-to-day of all the stress and all the things, all the interactions that we have, I know one big thing that people, when they think about when they get sick, they always seem to pin it around certain times. Oh, I was in a crowd for, the holidays, or, everybody's getting together. But you really think about that, how much you're processing also, not only your day-to-day life, jobs, you're also having to process holidays, people maybe you're not interacting with very often. So you really break those things down, and processing, I can see being a huge factor that we need to make sure that we're setting aside time to really incorporate that. And that's a really good tip. I like that.
Well, and one thing about, gathering, whether it's a family gathering or, gathering with friends, this is why people have symptoms, because they resolve something, because maybe they were isolated and they were feeling separated from their tribe, from their family, from their friends, and they come together. And then they have a rash, which is a separation conflict. They healed the separation that they were feeling from being away from their people, and then they were with their people, and then you resolve it. And so this is why sometimes after, you are able to do something, or, you go on a yoga retreat, or you connect with a friend that you haven't connected with in a while, and you feel seen, you feel heard. You're like, okay, I'm not the only one. And then you have healing symptoms. It's because your body is like, okay, we can let go of that issue now, and you can move on. And so that's also just very interesting, considering the last few years, and what's been happening in the world, because that fear and isolation is a control tactic to keep us separated, to keep us conflicted, because we need people.
Yeah.
Like, we're not built to live in isolation. And the body is not built for that either.
Right.
So
yeah. We are a very interdependent species, and we do need
yes.
people, that's for sure. Well, this has been really great. And I think this really stems a lot of questions for folks of how this really works. And I would like them to contact you if they have more questions, to set up a time with you. How do they get a hold of you and stay in contact with you?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Alchemy with Ashlee. Ashlee is spelled with 2 E's. And you can go to my website, alchemywithashlee.com. I have my YouTube video on there, and a way to schedule sessions with me. And I'm also, right now, I'm hosting monthly events called Connect the Dots, in person and online, over Zoom. So my next one is August 3rd in Austin, and then there's also a Zoom option as well.
And those are great. I've been to them. It's really wonderful. Great group of people, good information, really, really good to attend. So that's wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been wonderful. I think we've all learned a lot, and I think there's so much more to learn about this. I really like the German New Medicine, because I think it's something that we just haven't really explored as a society. And I think it's something really valuable that we all need to open our minds to really consider all the factors that go into illnesses and how our body responds to the world around us.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.